Yeah, it's been a little bit because I have been sick, but God has been with me. It was a scary time, and I appreciate you guys' prayer. And yeah, I'm back now, so I'm hoping I can continue with this as I continue to recover. I think I should be okay. So your prayers have been a blessing for sure, and God is still grateful. But what this has done is taught me a lot about my relationship with God and my relationship with my family, and just actually taking every second advantage and living it out to the fullest. And so that's what I'm gonna do. And to start with that, man, I'm gonna dive right in because has been really one of my most favorite things to do is to study scripture and explain kind of what the scripture has to say and helping you guys to have a devotional every day and be able to do that on your own. So I hope that you're able to do a little bit on that on your own and search through because man, that's my goal. And I found that has been a real enjoyment to my life. And so I want to continue to do that. And I hope you guys continue to listen and continue to share these videos with your friends, your family, so they can start a devotion in the new year. It's day 2. It's 1/2/24, and I hope that with that we begin to study and dive deeper into the scriptures. So this time we are on Genesis 16:7-16. And if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and read it. Come back and we'll answer the 4 questions. If you have read it, let's dive on in. What is this exactly saying? What's it talking about? Well, this is after the incident in which Sarah gave Hagar to Abram. Abram took Hagar and slept with her, and then she became pregnant. And then Hagar started kind of boasting about it, like, "Yeah, I got the baby." You know what I'm saying? And so she told her to go away. You know what I'm saying? Get out of here. And then, but then Abram told her, "Hey, you can do whatever you want with her, man. She's your servant." And so then Sarai started to treat her very bad, mistreat her, and because of that mistreatment, then she took off and ran away. And while she ran away, an angel came up to her. The angel of the Lord. We'll talk about that a little bit, but it's either an angel or a messenger of God, or it is in pre-incarnate Christ, as some people would say. And he spoke to he spoke to Hagar, told her, "Go back and submit to Sarai." He says, "And I will make your son great, and he will be wild." You know what I'm saying? He'll be crazy. Everybody will be against him. He'll be against everybody, but he will make him a great. He will make him great as well. And so um, she was comforted in that, and she said she called that place like low. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But she named the place, and she said it's a place where God sees, and she called God the God who sees, El Roy, and he's the God who sees. And she said because she saw her in her affliction. So yeah, I can't find the place real quick. I haven't. It's a little bit tough here. Let me see. Uh, Also, the angel told her to name the child Ishmael, which means that God hears. And so she also has a theophoric name, which is a name named after God, and she named the place because God saw her. And so she is all about. She called upon the name of the Lord there. Yeah, she called upon the name of the Lord, and God heard her cry. So what's to say about God? Well, I think it says that God is a God of blessing. And I say it this way because, in particular, Ishmael is not the child of the promise. We're going to find out here in a little bit that Isaac is, or Isaac, that he is the child of the promise. So for God to just bless Ishmael and Hagar is God on his own, doing his own thing, blessing people because he's God and he desires to bless them. So that's one thing that we see from this. But also we see that he's a God of seeing. We got to take it from Hagar, is that God sees her in her distress and desires to comfort her. He comes down there, sees her in affliction. Why should he see her? You know what I mean? Why would she? Because she's just a slave girl from Egypt. but and she is almost in a sense usurping the promise of Isaac, or what the reader might take from that. But God being God is not going to allow that to happen. And so it's a powerful thing that he would come in and bless her and her child, despite knowing that that's not going to be the child that's actually going to have all the promises. So he sees us in our distress. He's a God of blessing. What's this saying about man is that sometimes, man, we got to walk through some difficult situations in order to receive the blessings of God. And I know this may seem like those people who want to say they want to give you all these good things, but I got to do it, man. And sometimes you got to walk through the fire, man. Sometimes you got to walk through some struggles in order to achieve the blessings of God. And it's hard. It is very difficult to have to walk on coals of fire. But when we get through those things, man, we see that there's a blessing that God is wanting to bestow upon us that we receive and get to see the glory of God achieved from it. That's what we got to remember sometimes. And that's through scripture, man. The sufferings of and the plights of the Christian can be very difficult, but what it does is it creates in us faith, it creates in us wisdom, and it creates in us sanctification. How do we apply these truths, man? Well, first off, I think we got to understand and recognize that God is a God of blessing. So we got to know that God is desiring to bless us. And then second, we got to recognize that he sees us in our distress. So as we're living a life of trouble, that it seems like all these things around me, because here lately, I'm telling you myself, it has been a struggle. But I know God desires to bless me, and I know that he sees me in this distress. And then knowing those things, I know that sometimes these situations that happen to me, I have to walk through them. And as I walk through them, I become more like Christ. So I have to see those things, and then I just have to remember them. Sometimes the thing that we have to do is just actively change our face and reset our brains. I was reading in Romans. I'm sorry, not in Romans. I was reading in Ephesians as we went through that, and it talked about our changing our thought patterns, our minds. And so I think that is one thing that we have to do. We got to continue to renew our minds by the Spirit of God, renewing the inner man by the Spirit of God. And that is how we get through these things. This is how we remember, and we need to apply the truth today, is to renew our minds to understand that the circumstances that we're in now are there only to help us to become who God has called us to be, so that we can receive our blessing in the future. I appreciate you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.